Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni were also quite startled by Han Li's sudden arrival, and it was clear that they had no idea how Han Li had become a golden immortal in just a few months, as well as where he had gotten this golden immortal stage gold-devouring immortal from. "Why are you so late, uncle?" Jin Tong complained with a displeased expression, completely unbothered by the sinister scrutiny she was receiving from the surrounding golden immortals. Han Li turned to her and gave her a subtle look as he said, "If you've had your fill, then take a rest." Jin Tong wasn't actually a clueless child, so she was naturally able to glean Han Li's intentions, and she pointed at the remnants of the array as she said, "This is all mine. I'm still not done eating yet, so make sure no one else takes it." "I'll pack it all up for you to eat later," Han Li replied with a smile. "Fine," Jin Tong complied with a reluctant expression. With that, Han Li cast a string of incantation seals toward the 4.5 white stone pillars that were still standing, casually stowing the entire array away right before everyone's eyes. Meanwhile, Jin Tong swept her gaze over Feng Chandu and the others in a provocative manner, then said, "Make sure to call on me if you run into any other good treasures." After that, she shrank down into a tiny golden beetle amid a flash of golden light, then circled around in the air for a moment before landing on Han Li's left ring finger, fitting onto the finger like a golden ring, while everyone else looked on with mixed emotions. Just now, Xiao Jinhan was only an instant away from unleashing his ultimate trump card, which wasn't guaranteed to be able to completely turn the tide of the battle in his favor. But it would have definitely posed an immense challenge for everyone, and they would have all but certainly failed to strike him down. It was precisely due to the sudden arrival of this gold-devouring immortal that Xiao Jinhan's plans had been completely foiled, ultimately leading to his demise. In the wake of Xiao Jinhan's death, Han Li had suddenly arrived on the scene and casually subdued the gold-devouring immortal as its master, leading everyone to speculate about his identity. Feng Qiandu's expression darkened slightly as he began to size up Han Li, while all of the other Dawnfall sect cultivators were also watching Han Li with a hint of wariness and enmity in their eyes. Meanwhile, the two golden immortals of the Southern Dawn race exchanged a puzzled glance with one another. Prior to entering the Infernal Frost Immortal Manor, they had interacted briefly with the cultivators of the True Flame sect, so they had some recollection of Han Li's current appearance. However, they recalled that back then, he had only been at the late True Immortal stage and hadn't displayed any remarkable traits, so how he had suddenly returned as a golden immortal? Right at this moment, Taoist Hu Yan suddenly approached Han Li as he asked, "Where did you go, Qianyu? You had me worried sick." A faint smile appeared on Han Li's face as he made his way over to Taoist Hu Yan in a leisurely fashion, while everyone else looked on with surprise in their eyes. "My apologies, uncle. I was trapped in an underground palace earlier, and as soon as I got out, I noticed that something was happening here, so I came here right away," Han Li explained. On the surface, Taoist Hu Yan offered no response to this, but he was understandably raising questions to Han Li in secret through voice transmission. "What is going on, fellow Taoist Li? How did your cultivation base?" "Here, I'll tell you the truth. I was trapped in an underground palace, only to reemerge an instant later as a golden immortal. Do you believe me?" Han Li replied in a resigned voice, "Of course not!" Taoist Hu Yan exclaimed. Meanwhile, Yun Ni was also communicating to Taoist Hu Yan through voice transmission. Perhaps he cultivated some type of reincarnation secret technique, and he concealed his own cultivation base in the past so that he could secure our sect's formless true axis scripture. There was naturally no way that anyone would believe such a story, and the enmity that had earlier been solely directed toward Han Li from Feng Qiandu and the others had expanded to include Taoist Hu Yan and Yun Ni as well. Right at this moment, Ouyang Kuishan's trio suddenly approached Taoist Hu Yan as well, and it was clear that they were aware of his true identity. Perhaps they had chosen to side with Taoist Hu Yan as they had once been part of the same sect, or perhaps they were simply wary of the Dawnfall sect. In any case, their decision had completely changed the complexion of the situation, and a tense atmosphere descended upon the entire scene once again. A mocking sneer appeared on Feng Tiandu's face as he cast his gaze toward the two Southern Dawn race golden immortals. And among them, the elderly man turned to the elderly woman with an inquisitive expression, in response to which the latter shook her head, refusing to take either side. Right as the tension in the valley was beginning to build, a resounding boom suddenly rang out high up in the sky, and everyone immediately turned their attention upward to find that countless rays of golden light had converged up above, quickly forming an enormous golden cloud. Golden light was surging throughout the cloud, illuminating the entire sky with dazzling golden radiance, and tremendous energy fluctuations were sweeping out of the cloud, causing all of the world's origin chi, in a radius of several dozen kilometers, to churn incessantly. A burst of tremendous pressure came crashing down from above alongside a flash of blinding light, and everything was illuminated a bright golden color. This was a phenomenon that wasn't unfamiliar to Han Li, and his expression changed slightly as he turned to Taoist Huyan and said, "This is a pill tribulation. Could it be?" "That's right. This valley is most likely where the High Zenith Palace is situated, and that's where High Zenith pills are being refined. The arrival of the pill tribulation indicates that a critical stage has been reached in the pill refinement process," Taoist Huyan confirmed with a nod. Feng Qiandu took a glance up at the sky, then turned his gaze to the white stone wall within the valley, and he discovered that the scenery engraved upon it seemed to have sprung to life, with the rivers flowing and the birds taking flight. At the same time, the white light barrier around it began to become denser again. Right at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out in the sky above the valley. "You sure got here nice and early, fellow Taoist Feng." A blue water lotus flower then slowly descended out of the sky, and it vanished into thin air as soon as it landed on the ground. Two figures were revealed, and they were none other than Luo Qinghai and his young disciple, Nan Keming. As for the other Vast Flow Palace cultivators, they weren't present for some reason. After landing on the ground, Luo Qinghai took a casual glance at everyone in the valley, and his gaze lingered on Han Li for an extra second. "I may have come early, but you came at just the right time, fellow Taoist Luo. You've arrived right as the pill tribulation emerged," Feng Qiandu replied with a fake smile. Luo Qinghai paid no heed to Feng Qiandu's cold demeanor as he said, "It looks like this must be the true location of the High Zenith Palace. Earlier, I discovered an underwater palace that was filled with traps, and we went to great lengths to traverse through the palace, only to find that it wasn't even the right place. By the way, where's fellow Taoist Xiao? He doesn't seem to be around." Internally, Feng Qiandu was cursing Luo Qinghai for his shamelessness. He had to have already arrived well in advance and observed the entire battle that was waged against Xiao Jinhan, only to show himself now in order to reap the spoils. If it weren't for the sudden emergence of the pill tribulation, he most likely wouldn't even have shown himself now, and would have only come out of hiding after the Dawnfall sect cultivators had battled everyone else in the valley. Palace Master Xiao is a busy and blessed man. Perhaps he's already stumbled upon a more significant treasure and is no longer interested in this place, Feng Qiandu replied in a cold voice. Among all of the powers in the northern glacial immortal region, the only one that he had regarded as a threat was the Blaze Dragon Dao, and among all of the immortal region's cultivators, Xiao Jinhan was certainly a fierce rival of his. But in his heart, Xiao Jinhan was inferior to Bai Liyan. As for Luo Qinghai, Feng Qiandu had always looked down on him. I suppose we can only wish him the best of luck then. Speaking of Palace Master Xiao, I ran into him a short while ago, Luo Qinghai said with a smile. Now that you're here, why don't you take a look and see if you can break the restriction in this valley? Fellow Taoist Luo? You're a master of arrays, so I'm sure you'll have a way, Feng Qiandu proposed. I'll spare myself the trouble. There's no way that the restriction guarding the High Zenith Palace is something that I can break on my own. Instead, I'll be requiring everyone's help, Luo Qinghai said with a smile. As soon as his voice trailed off, the golden cloud in the sky suddenly began to shrink, forming a giant vortex directly above the valley, and there were dull, rumbling thunderclaps ringing out within it. Luo Qinghai's smile instantly faded upon seeing this, and a serious look appeared on his face as he said, The pill tribulation is about to descend, so the pills must be about to take shape. We can't waste any more time here. Feng Chandu also nodded in response with a serious expression. Luo Qinghai turned to everyone else and declared, "Fellow Taoists, all of your efforts will be required in order to break this restriction. Otherwise, none of us will be able to enter the High Zenith Palace, and this massive opportunity will go to waste." "We're willing to help," Taoist Hu Yan answered. The elderly woman from the Southern Dawn race said in an unhurried manner, "I also have no objections to joining forces, but there are only 2 of us and so many of you. Once we enter the palace, we'll most likely be struck down on the spot. We're all here to secure treasures and opportunities, and risk and reward inevitably come hand in hand. If you wish to reap benefits without taking any risks, then I suggest you stay at home and wait for treasures to fall into your lap." Qi Tianxiao scoffed. "I think her concerns are actually quite valid, Sectmaster Qi. Your Dawnfall sect has the most people out of all of us, so how can we not be wary of you? If you want everyone to work together with you, then I'm afraid you might have to make some concessions," Luo Qinghai said with a smile. Qi Tianxiao was just about to respond when Feng Tiandu raised a hand to stop him, then said, "That's fine. There are only 2 Southern Dawn beings present, and also only 2 cultivators from your Vast Flow Palace, so how about we set a limit of 2 people per side to enter the High Zenith Palace?